The Azores are a group of 9 spectacular islands located in the center of the Atlantic Ocean, which resemble many of the descriptions of a fabled lost island in the Atlantic. Terceira is one of the larger islands with a population of 56,000 inhabitants and is located in the historical capital of the archipelago, now a UNESCO heritage site. Many people are unaware that over 140 pyramids are currently being studied by archaeologists in the Madalena area of the Pico Islands of the Azores. Some of these structures reach about 13 meters, that's about 43 feet high, which is equivalent to a 4-story building, and they seem to be aligned deliberately. The landscape features a volcano, the Ponta de Pico, which is the highest mountain in the Azores and Portugal, and the highest elevation of the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. The pyramids, which are built with basalt volcanic rock in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, may possibly predate the arrival of Portuguese or Spanish by many millennia. Discoveries so far have included hooks, metal spikes, bones, shells, weights for fishing nets, utensils made of basalt, coal fragments and pieces of pottery. And this is all in the first official archaeological surveys that are authorized by the Azores regional government to the pyramid structures of the island. So these pyramids are almost all concentrated in an area of 6 kilometers in the district of Magdalena near the west coast of the island, dominated by the highest mountain. And this is about 2,350 meters. So far, archaeologists are very enthusiastic about the deposits of ancient artifacts that they found, and it seems that these artifacts are definitely constructed much earlier than 1427, which is the date of the discovery of the Azores by the Portuguese. And according to Professor Nuno Ribeiro, an archaeologist who is performing surveys on the site, and I quote, "It's an archaeological complex that includes organized pyramidal buildings that create a large square. This organization of space cannot be explained simply by the clearing of the land for agricultural purposes, so it would have required great planning and involved collective labor and several years to build." Ribeiro goes on to add, and I quote, "More amazing is the fact that these structures satisfy the same guidelines of other pyramids around the world, with apparent astronomical motivations also suggesting burial rituals," end quote. Romeo Hristov, an archaeologist at the University of Texas at Austin, Texas, had visited the Pico pyramids with the following observation, and I quote, "The structures of Pico are very perfect, imply a huge amount of work that is justified not only by the needs of agriculture, but there's a strict astronomical orientation and access ramps associated with the concept of the sacred structure stairs," end quote. The Department of Archaeoastronomy did some geomapping and concluded that most of the pyramids are oriented towards the southeast and northwest. Southeast is the direction of the volcano on Pico Island, but more importantly, northwest corresponds to the setting of the sun on the summer solstice, which happens on the island of Faial, very close to Pico. Now, the remaining pyramids have a perpendicular orientation to the first, and Fernando Pimenta, who's the director of the organization, admits that, and I quote, "It seems to be intentional, not just a coincidence, the geographical orientation of the buildings and the site selection for its implementation, end quote. So when we consider that sea levels have risen over 300 feet since the late Pleistocene, or the end of the last ice age, then it could be said that the Azores Island could represent the mountaintops of whatever landmass this was during the ice age. So let's go ahead and call it Atlantis, since it has a nice ring to it and it seems to have this ocean named after it. The Azores are also situated on what geologists call the mid-Atlantic Ridge, which is where new ocean floor spreads out in the form of hot magma. Lava and magma are the same thing. When it's underground, it's called magma. When it's outside, it's called lava. And this is also where two massive tectonic plates meet. So, in other words, we should also take into account that in addition to rising sea levels, there's an actual rising and lowering of these plates at this point in conjunction with the perpetual volcanic activity that Israel startled to find that his GPS equipment was picking up something unusual. It registered a large, perfectly square object below, very unusual indeed. Whatever this thing was, it had the surprisingly similar geometric resemblance to a pyramid, but was submerged 40 meters off the coast of Terceira. Estimated at 60 meters tall and symmetrically even, the Global Positioning Satellite Imaging recorded that the structure was not only in the shape of a pyramid, but apparently oriented by the cardinal points. So this is where things get really interesting.
40 meters under the water, in between the third island and St. Michael's. The base is higher than a football field. The pyramid was detected by the sailor here mentioned. He mentions that it's very impressive due to its form and its orientation. I mean, the vertices are north and south, so they're literally, correctly, geometrically, literally speaking. His longest experience in the sea never had brought such an impressive discovery. And he found this out 5 months ago when he was looking for new spots for fishing. So this has always been a mystery between South Africa and the Spanish Canary Islands and the Azores. So yeah, by the precision of the lines, this sailor really has the belief that this has an ancient origin. And yeah, since decades that people are searching where this stuff were. And I don't know how to say this really, but there was always expeditions from South Spain in looking of these islands. But yeah, in resume what this is telling, he's just telling the stories of the searches over the years and how nobody ever said anything else. Like a lot of rumors on the internet, which everybody knows, like the story in BBC years ago, and other stuff, you know, because there's been quite some interesting facts.
My name is Robert Sepehr. I'm an author and anthropologist, and would like to invite you to join me in awakening from a long amnesia. Species with Amnesia, Our Forgotten History. Gods with Amnesia, Subterranean Worlds of Inner Earth. The Occult Secrets of Vril. And 1666, Redemption Through Sin. I would like to thank my subscribers who share my posts, as I rely on word of mouth, and I appreciate all of the positive feedback, reviews on my books, and I thank you very much for listening.